I wanted to ask you, actually, because a lot of stuff come out today, a lot of takes in relation to Ruben Amorim. What did you make of what he said about the players in terms of having a bit of a go at them, as it were, in terms of he doesn't want to give them one-on-one feedback. He wants the players to prove they should be starting by the way they play in training, as opposed to having kind of one-to-one meetings. What's your thoughts on that approach from Ruben?
Well, it's a journalist take, and it's clearly come from leaks from the dressing room for a start, because that's, it's very clear when you read the article that this has come from information on the tour where the players have spoken freely to somebody. But Amorim said last week that Kobbie Mainoo trained really well, and it's really sad because I can't pick him because I haven't got a place for him. So there's a contradiction there, isn't there? Because obviously some of these players are training well and he still can't pick them. So, but with regards to balling them out in a group, he gives a lot of interviews. And as a manager of 20 players, he hasn't got time to individually have a half an hour chat with all of them. Yeah. Just wouldn't be able to do that. And also sport, Patrick Lynch was saying it on our channel, is it not normal that in a sport, rugby's 15 players, how are you going to have a one-on-one with them? So it's, half time, you've got 10 minutes. You have to, if someone's having a shit game, you can't go, can I have a quick word, Delo? Well, it's always Delo. We know what you're going to say. He's shit. All right, I'll do it with all of you then. You've got to, in team sport, you have to give out feedback in a group. But I suppose it's the modern player, isn't it? That their egos, etc. But I haven't really got a problem with it. And also, he's the manager. Like, that's the way it's going to be. If you don't like it, you leave.
Yeah, I agree. As you say, I don't think it's obviously leaks. I don't think Ruben Amorim hasn't told him this. With all due respect to Ruben, he gives enough interviews. We'd heard it in that. And I don't think there's an issue with the approach. If we're going to get really sort of pernickety about it, we have improved in the last 5 games in the sense of we haven't lost, still leaking too much at the back, but we are scoring more goals. We are winning more points. So I don't think he should necessarily change too much. And I agree with the notion. And my view on it is this: I'm not going to judge it based on Ruben having an absolutely poor year in totality. I'm going to judge the actions. And I do think players need to show in training why they're in the first team. But I'd go one step further. When they do get an opportunity in the first team, I want to see him deliver. I think Xerxes, I used the words yesterday, deserves a chance. I've rethought on that and said, I think it's right to give him an opportunity. I don't know about the word deserved, but when he gets the start, deliver. I want to see Mainoo given some games, but when he starts, he's got to deliver. And I think there's an added pressure to Mainoo, because I think you and I would both agree that he's a better central midfielder in terms of ball retention, press resistance than the guys currently in that position. So therefore, I expect to see a much better performance than what I get from Casemiro and Bruno at that particular role. My hot take, I suppose, is the whole standards brigade will change. They drop their knickers when it comes to standards, depending upon who the player is. So the way they'll ridicule Ugarte for doing something wrong, if it's Mainoo, they'll have a different approach because they like him. And we see this all the time. Šeško's getting a lot of crap at the minute, but it's all about Šeško not being good enough. When other players are having bad games, it's, the system, man. The system hurts these players, but yet no one's saying the system hurts Šeško because it's kind of flavour of the month to have a pop at him. So, I want to see some of these players given a go. I want to see these players stand up and deliver, though. I want to see your frustration of not getting starts taken out on the opponents, and then give the manager a problem. And if Xerxes comes in, if Mainoo comes in and they deliver, I'll praise them. The manager then throws them straight back out the team, I'll criticize him for doing that. My gut feeling is, though, more so with Xerxes than it is with Bruno, with Mainoo. I think Mainoo will deliver. I think Xerxes will have some good moments in games, some good touches, some good skills. But I think it'll be like last year. He got 19 starts for Man United last season and scored 3 goals in those games and only scored in 2 of those matches. And although he isn't, we need goals from him. We need assists from him. He wasn't doing that to a great deal either. So we'll see what happens with it. But the other comment I thought was interesting, Mark, I wanted your take on, is that they're starting to do 4-3-3 training, supposedly.
Yeah, I saw that about Jason Wilcox had a chat with him about the formation, and I think that article is quite anti-Amorim, actually, and that was my interpretation of it. It was almost like let's spray it with perfume and make it smell better, but it felt very anti-Amorim, really, because it was like, when you scratch the surface of it, it is. They're like, you shouldn't be telling us off in front of everybody else. And he's been told to, Wilcox has had a word with him about the formation, and in training sometimes it's a 4-3-3. What is Wilcox having a chat with Ruben Amorim about playing a 4-3-3 for when he recruited a guy who plays a 3-4-3? I actually, the more I read that article, the more I think it's full of bollocks, to be honest. The more I think it's just a little bit of a anti-Amorim bit, because as if Jason Wilcox, who recruited a 3-4-3 manager, is going to go, Shay Amorim, could you play a 4-3-3 just to appease the ex-players and the media? Could you play a 4-3-3?
My view on it reminded me of something that Amorim first said. Amorim doesn't actually care that much about the formation. It's about the positions you take up within the formation. And I think there's an element of truth in that, because this season, Pep's used 5 at the back quite regularly when they've been out of possession. But what I thought was interesting about it is, and I like that it's come out, that there've been training sessions and they've run some drills in 4-3-3. And it's something that Ruben, I remember him saying this very early on, that he will evolve his system over time. It will be the day he does it, though. And I think it's important to bookmark this and go, right, we know that they're doing training at the very least. Whether it's a leak or whether it's come directly from the manager, we sort of know that they've done drills in it. Because the day he does switch, if he does switch, what you'll also then get from his outers and his detractors. That's why I want to 8 Mile this a little bit. It'll be, he ain't a man of principle. He said he'll never change. He said he'll never adapt. And look, he has done. And that's not quite what he said, because I don't think your philosophy towards football necessarily changes based on the formation. I think it's more about the positions you take up in and out of possession anyway. But I thought that was interesting to me personally. But overall, how do you feel United are doing? What's your sort of take on it right now? We are unbeaten in the last 5, but we're still leaking like a broken fridge. We sit 7th in the league, but it's so tight at the minute. You win the next game, you could end the weekend in a top 4 position. Where's your head at with United right now, mate?
I just want to give an educational lesson to United standards in your live chat, who's very vocal, telling everybody what he knows, but is absolutely going to get owned here. Wilcox never recruited Amorim. Wilcox came after Amorim, and then he's done the facepalm thing. Yeah, mate, can we all just laugh at United standards, who has low standards because he doesn't even know when Ruben Amorim was appointed and Jason Wilcox was here 6 months before. So it's always nice to just sit somebody down in a morning show. I think Manchester United, I'll sit myself down now. I think Manchester United, I was very frustrated after the Spurs game. I'm tired of people telling us to calm down, especially when it's people who were Amorim out after Grimsby, who are now telling us to calm down. I mean, the definition of flip-flop. We all know who they are. I think that Manchester United fans have got the right to say what they bloody well like, because we ultimately all want the same thing, Man United back at the top. And some of us remember what it takes to be at the top. And it certainly isn't applauding giving up games at half-time 2 weeks in a row. I'm not going to, I said it on Saturday night, I said it after the match reaction. I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologise for the way I reacted to that game, because I have standards. Some people are saying, oh, your standards are too low at times when you're saying we should be going for 5th. But I grew up, Sir Alex Ferguson, Roy Keane, these people are what I grew up with. And I know exactly how they would react to dropping 3 points 2 weeks in a row. And it wouldn't be, we're making progress, it's improvement, let's back the lads, this, that, and the other. It would be, we've got a fucking big problem here. But 2 weeks in a row, we've been 1-0 up at half time away from home, and we've blown it and needed a lucky equaliser to save a loss. So I look at the last 2 weeks, that's the current theme. We're bottling leads and we're getting lucky draws. That needs to change. The international break has probably come at a good time for us, because it started off well with Liverpool and Brighton, but it's tailed away with poor performances and lucky results. However, when you look at the league table, everyone else is doing the same. And when I look at that United side, I think 5th place is there for grabs. And I look at the next 7-8 games and I think we should win more of those games than we draw. Don't really expect us to lose any, if I'm being completely honest. That might be, a little bit optimistic, but I don't think we'll go and lose at Selhurst Park or Villa Park. We might draw. So I think by New Year, I think we might be in the top 5. And if we're in the top 5 in New Year, then we're having a very good season. So I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic that we're making a little bit of hard work or something. I mean, look, we can get top 5. I think we will. But I will also say we should already be there. And, celebrating that the fact the door is still open, we should be in there with a pint by the fire, enjoying it. And I feel we're still stood at the door going, oh, we should celebrate that it's still open. Yeah, but we should have walked in ages ago and be looking at everyone else outside. So that's sort of where I am.
No, I hear that. And I think it's right. I mean, the way you feel after a game is it can be different to how you feel a few days later when the emotions are running a little bit lower. But again, if we'd have gone and got a third goal and won that game, I'd have celebrated, but I would have been annoyed. I was annoyed with their execution. I was annoyed with countless mistakes that I don't blame on the system. And I'm never going to be convinced that Bruno not passing the ball out wide to Mads as an example, that isn't the system. That was Bruno making a bad decision. Cunha running into crowds rather than laying the ball off is individual mistakes, not the system. And I felt that we had so many great opportunities in that second half to counter and kill the game off. There was a time where Dorgu got down the left-hand side in the second half. No one run, because we didn't have a striker on. No one run into an area for him to tap the ball in. But he just hit like a lofted cross to no one, and he was looking down the line. I'm thinking, well, retain possession. Don't just boot the ball to where nobody's standing. Sometimes you have to cross the ball first time because you're in a really tight angle and you could lose possession, but that wasn't the case. And I think we have to do a lot of work around that. That being said, if you'd have said to me 5 weeks ago, we're going to be unbeaten in the next 5 games and a couple of points off a Champions League position, if somebody said, without knowing all the context, would you take that today? The answer is yes. The answer is I'm taking it, and I'm not worried. And look, comments like this from Dave here that say we always concede when Casemiro comes off. Again, that is not strictly true. We conceded 2 goals at the beginning of the second half against Nottingham Forest when he was on the football pitch. Equally, yes, we conceded 2 goals against Brighton after he came off, but one was from a free kick that only happened because Dorgu had a really bad first touch, and Casemiro would not have been able to stop any of that. And then we conceded from a corner, which again, maybe if Casemiro's marking the attacker and not Xerxes, it would have been a little different. I don't think those goals because Casemiro came off. I think
it's a basic, you see it all the time. It's such a basic moronic analysis of football to say that when Casemiro's on the pitch, we don't concede because Casemiro ain't fucking Superman. If a cross goes to the back post and it's Ahmad's man and Gibbs White scores, it doesn't matter whether Casemiro is on the pitch or not. It's a coincidence rather than a reason, a necessity, or a reason.
Of course. I mean, you look at the Liverpool game. Yes, we conceded 20 minutes after he came off the football pitch. If we want to, we can play if buts and maybe, but let's not pretend Liverpool didn't have really good chances to score.
No, because Casemiro did move the post in so that Gakpo couldn't score. He did move the post. He moved it across a little bit. So, but look, it's like Dave Ladd says in the chat, why were Man United lucky against Spurs? And I think sometimes this is people just need to let people have an opinion and leave it. I've been tired the last few weeks because people keep trying to tell me my opinion's not valid. I'm not telling you your opinion's not valid. If you love Casemiro, that's great. If you think he's going to be here next season, that's great. I don't. We were lucky against Spurs because we were losing 2-1 in stoppage time and we scored a header at the end of the game. I define that as lucky. If you think that's a part of the plan and, a brilliant performance, fine. Please leave me alone. I define it as lucky. Leave me to my opinion, right? I think it was lucky because we were shite in the second half. Spurs had won the game, and thankfully, De Ligt went and got on the end of a Bruno corner, and we got a draw. But we were lucky. Of course, we were. We were lucky.
I think that's fair. I think we did. I
think Forest was a bit different because Ahmad did have a shot cleared off the line at 2-2. So you could say we might have won it lucky. I think that would have been a lucky win. I felt the draw against Forest was the right result, even though we didn't play that well. But against Spurs, I think when you get a last-minute equaliser, there's an element of luck there, really.
Whitey says, Mark, your opinion isn't valid because you think you are better than me at FIFA, and it upsets me. And Rob Lab has come back as a fair explanation. To be fair,
you must be shit at FIFA if you think I'm better than you.
I played my son the other day, and he gave it the big one that he could do me. So I just played properly and I smashed him 8-0. By the time the 8th goal went in, though, I did look at him and I could see something missing behind his eyes. I was like, "Oh no, what have I done?"
No, it's the right thing to do. I was playing. We've got a bit of a hallway upstairs, and we were playing last night, 1st to 10, against Seb, and he wanted to play on his iPad. And I said, "If I win, you don't go on your iPad." And he was like, what happens if I win? I says, I'll buy you some roadblocks or whatever like that, or points for something. Anyway, I won 10-9, and he said, no, you've got to win by, no, what was it? It was 10-9. And he said, you've got to win by 2. No, I was winning 9-8. And he said, you've got to win by 2. It's not first to 10. You've got to win by 2 goals. And I thought, well, if I score the next one, I've won by 2 goals and it's 10 anyway. So I smashed it in and I went, I've won. He was like, no, you've got to win by 2 goals. I went, it's 10-8. No, first to 11. I said, how does that work? I've won by 2 goals and it's 10. There's no point me going to 11. You've lost. Get to bed.
Love it. Yeah, no, you got. I'll do it with air hockey with not with my youngest, but my oldest, because they're not big enough yet. Sometimes he's first to 7. I think those games are, and he'll get to like 5, and I'm on 3, and he's getting it, and I'm like, I got to show him. And then it's like 3 shots on the bounce go in. I'm like, yeah, you're not ready yet, son. You're not ready yet. Although he wanted to race me the other day, and I raced him, and I had flat shoes on, and I have hurt my Achilles. I'm in bits. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. I'll let him win the races. Let us know, dads out there. Let us know, dads. Do you let your kids win? Or do you always beat them? Is it a mixture? I'd love to know in the comment section below.
Yeah, I think batter them. I think 8-0 is a bit harsh, actually. You've got to let them get close. You've got to feel like they can win, but then beat them, because it's character building. He was
running up. Then we played together though, and the one thing he's better than me at is defending. He was amazing at getting tackled. Then we played together. We played on World Class. We played against, it was United versus Arsenal, and we beat them last minute. I scored Bruno Fernandes free kick. I've never scored a free kick on the game. And my son's like, do you know how to take free kicks, Dad? I'm like, I'm going to do my best. And I hit it, and it went in the top corner. I actually celebrated like it was a real goal, because I was like, yeah, I did that. The boy's happy. But there we go. Never let them win is what Ryan says here. Competitive dads. I don't know if it's competitive. I'm not competitive with my children. I'm not. I want my children to grow up. I look at my children, how my kickboxing and karate coach used to want to teach us. And what I take through life is, you should always, anyone you're teaching, you should always want to teach them to be better at everything than you are in life. That's my view on it. Like in the martial arts world, my coach used to say, my aim is to make you guys better technically and have more knowledge than me, so that the standard of martial arts improves over the generations. And I kind of want to do that with my kids. But sometimes there's learning you get from losing. There is, I think. So no, I do agree.